uploaded. So we're going to get going here. This is for really the changes that we're going to make to the program moving forward. I know before the season began, we mentioned a couple changes that we were looking at implementing, which we have. Hopefully they're working out for everybody currently. But I think anyone that's been in the challenge program, and mainly probably the sixth grade coaches that have been with us for a while, know how the standards of the program that we would uphold before, and then the world turned upside down in 2020, and we kind of changed or were more lenient in our procedures for the challenge program, which has come with which has been great for most families and kids, but obviously from a coach's point of view that's been in the program, the challenge part of it is maybe lost its way a little bit. So some things that you're all aware of what we have done up till now. We've removed the evaluation for a couple different reasons. We found that although in the challenge program we do not take requests from families, let me say it again. We do take requests. We don't look at them like we do on the rec side. This is still a recreational program. And what we found out was that when we look back at the data and how we put teams together, 74 to 82% of players were still getting placed with the coach or a player that they wanted anyway. So what is the point of bringing out 1,200 kids in the middle of January to have an evaluation where we spend an hour and we end up fulfilling the request anyway? So we took that away. We think it's helped out a little bit because coaches can now, which you're all aware, I think we've done this for the last 2 seasons, coaches are able to submit their rosters to our program managers in Karen Korp and Ashley Rast, and they take a look. They look at the roster, they see where a player's played before, they see what kind of player the specific coach is asking for, so that it's not 12 all-stars that from our all-star program that we're putting on one roster, and we're not taking Ashburn kids and putting them on a South Riding team, or a Percival kid putting them on a South Riding team. We look at everything, make sure that it still makes sense from an address point of view for that specific family, school district, whatever it may be. So we take your requests, and that's something that we will continue. And the evaluation is something that we will not look at doing moving forward, and continue. We think the rosters have worked out for the most part pretty well. And I'm sure you're all wondering, what about the kids that don't have requests, or the kids that aren't left out? I will get to that probably at the end when we talk about the cost of the new program and what that'll look like. So that's our rosters. That's how we look to put the rosters on, and we will continue to do that. You've noticed that for this season, we have kind of put everybody at a central location. So whether that's all the age groups in the challenge program at one location, say for instance Hanson Park, or if we've gone 3rd grade girls at one location all together, 3rd grade boys, 4th grade boys, 4th grade girls, and so on. We've tried to put that all together and at one place. That gives us the option to do a couple things. Number one, we keep our challenge program within a centralized area, and we can get all the games together. That way we can get the correct referees onto the game for the higher level rec game. It's easier for them to be assigned there. It's easier for them to select. And if we go right up, they know that our challenge program is taking place at this location. They can then look up and our mentors can advise referees to be in a certain location. It also allows, which we didn't do this season because We haven't hired somebody, but we will be hiring a person full-time as the challenge program manager moving forward. This will be a technical person and part of our tech staff. That person will then be able to be on the field every week or most weeks when they're able to observe challenge games. They can observe the players, they can observe coaches, and we can then select all-stars in the all-star program from the player's own environment. Right now, it's the way our all-star program is run, and we get players in is we have the tryout. If you don't know, we have the tryout every for 2 weeks in a certain season, and some kids excel in a new environment and some kids don't, right? So why not let them see, or let us see them in their own environment with the coach that they want to be with, hopefully, or the players that they want to be with, and within their team environment. So that allows us to pick a true all-star program and all-star team. Now every family will still get the option to say yes or no to the program. We will still hold the tryouts that we can maybe get some players that we've missed, but our staff can then get out and they know exactly where the games are going to be held, what time a certain age group game is held, and they can get out and observe that. Currently, I am the only full-time technical staff member in our club that is part of the rec program. So for me to get out and observe 590 teams, that includes all of rec and the challenge, it's extremely tough. So you may have seen me, you may have not this season. It's really hard to get out to everybody. This way, with the full-time person and the centralized locations, we can then spread out our staff, our tech staff, and the all-star coaches along, so that we can then again pick the players. We can pick the correct assistant coaches, which is important for the program, and hopefully we have a true all-star program, like I mentioned. Another thing that we'll be looking to do, and this will depend on the numbers that come in, is maybe create different divisions within the challenge program. This is just something that we are contemplating. This is not something that is down and set. So we can have kind of a top tier and bottom tier within the program. Again, don't take that. This is again just putting some idea. This is not an idea that will be put into place for sure. This is just an idea that's being thrown out. So it'll all depend on the numbers, all depend on the number of teams, and something that we will look to do, and create kind of a bigger competition within the season, which will then go into the playoffs. For the playoffs, we will have all of challenge will go into the playoff system. So currently only 5th and 6th grade participate in the playoffs. We will have 3rd and 4th graders as well participate in the playoffs moving forward in the spring and beyond. This will give everybody a chance to compete. We'll keep the standings like we do for the other divisions that have playoffs. But we think it's a fun and important thing for the kids to play, because to play for. They all want to do it. They all want to play and enjoy themselves with their teammates. So what better way to have a playoff win? So we'll run that for Challenge 1 and Challenge 2 from the spring season. Then with all of that comes additional costs. So the program, and I think one of the biggest at the beginning, when the rosters are released, one of the biggest questions that our program managers receive is, why is this kid on my team? This is not a challenge program player, which is valid. Again, we don't turn anyone away from the challenge program, but hopefully the cost of the program moving forward will deter those lower level kids. The cost will go up by $100 for the challenge program moving forward. That will include more on-field resources for the challenge coaches. So currently, a few have taken me up on the offer of coming out to training sessions. You will be allowed to come out to training sessions. We will hold boot room meetings like we used to. We do it with our travel coaches. Challenge coaches will be invited to the boot room sessions with our travel coaches within their specific age groups. We run that once a month. We will do that and add the challenge coaches in. We will provide challenge coaches with extra resources, like extra gear, extra there's a couple different ideas. I'm not going to go down too much into it, but there will be additional resources for the coaches, as well as players, just like in our high school division. Players, teams will be allocated a specific color uniform. So the shirts will be included in the registration fee. Every team will receive a shirt. Families will then have the option to buy the shorts and socks through the club store or through the Soccer Post store. But every team within the program and within each division will be allocated a color. So in the registration, you'll see a new question that'll pop up for your child. That will be, what size shirt do they wear? We will then collect the information once the registration closes on February 7th, I think it is. We will then send that through to Soccer Post and say, we need 12 different color shirts for our 3rd grade girls division. Here we go, send us these colors. And then each coach will receive a bag of shirts to allocate to their players. Again, the extra cost, we will have a dedicated staff member only to challenge, which that'll be run through the program as well. But hopefully, like I said, the additional cost will deter the lower level players and keep them in the Rec 2 program, and the challenge program can still or can run as everybody intends it to. So those are my major notes that I have right there. This is a new program. There will be things that come up that we think we need to add. So as we go along, we will add them. But I want to make sure that the coaches are aware, because once registration opens on Wednesday, I'm sure you will get questions from all your families. Why is the program fee now over $200 instead of the $160 that it was? So again, hopefully everybody gets on board. Hopefully you see the vision that we're trying to do. We do want to run it almost like a free travel program. Not that we expect everybody to go into the travel program, but we want to run it very similar to that, like our U8 Academy, and have kind of that bridge program between our rec and travel program. Because we do see a lot of kids come through into the travel program as they get a little bit older and as they get into middle school. So this is the perfect program, we think, to kind of bridge that gap, and it'll still be under the rec umbrella, but it'll be more towards our pre-travel rather than recreational. So I'm going to stop talking right there. I think that's everything I have on my notes. If anybody has any questions, fire away. Any comments or suggestions? I'm not usually open to them, but today you're lucky you caught me on a good day. I will take down your suggestions.
Hey Darren, it's David.
How you doing?
Hey, a couple of questions, or certainly one observation. One, we've had players that come through, understand not evaluating players and agree with the general approach, but we've had players come through that haven't even ever played in rec, and some that haven't even played soccer before, that actually, for example, are in our challenge team this year. Recognize that it's difficult, if not impossible, to evaluate on an individual basis, but is there a way, maybe through the registration process, of really making it ultra clear that players should have experience coming into the challenge team for the benefit of the child and also the other team members as well, so they get into the right team at the right level. That's number one. I've got a second question. I'll let you answer that first.
Yeah. So we're adding 2 questions as well to the registration, kind of right at the top, if not the first things after the child's name, is how many years have you played, and at what level, and their options are rec, travel, or other. And if they select other, they need to be specific in what gets put in there. So we will take that info, and then so if no one's ever played before, we will take that info and go, we don't think the challenge program is correct for you, unless on your once you submit your rosters, unless that child's name is on the roster, right? So if a child hasn't played before and he's on a roster or she's on a roster, we will allow it, but otherwise we will then kindly suggest that player goes back into Rec 2 or starts in Rec 2, whichever one is appropriate.
Okay, thank you. The other point is more an observation, and this may have been related to the words you use, which I'd suggest considering not using them again. Let me just replay. So you said that the increased cost of $100 could deter the lower level kids. I'd suggest that could just deter people who can't afford a place, whose kids may be fantastic, but just can't afford the place. And it may work the other way around as well, where someone has money, the child isn't so great, and they want to be coached perhaps by a better coach overall. So I'd just be careful with those words.
We have an incredible financial aid program for our recreational kids and we give more money than I think anyone realizes. So if anybody's in that situation, they should try and submit the application for financial aid. It's very rare, if ever, that we turn away a player in the rec program for financial aid.
Yeah, that's awesome, Darren. It was just the words that you used in terms of suggesting that it could deter people coming who didn't have the talent, where that's not necessarily the case. So I've just been a little bit more careful with that. But thanks for the clarification.
Hey Darren, just one suggestion is when the coaches do make their selections for their teams, that just if we could get the list bounced back to us in an email or what, I think that would be helpful. I think there was maybe a mistake in mine in this past season, and we didn't realize it until after rosters were set. So I don't know if that's possible, but it would be helpful.
Yep, we can look at that for sure.
Hey, Darren. Darren, Mike Clemens here. Yeah, I just want to ask a clarifying question. You said you don't turn anyone away from the challenge program, but then you also said that there's this filter that you're going to apply so that kids who haven't played before are asked to do something else. Can you be very specific? Will they still be afforded the opportunity to play in challenge, or will they be directed to rec? Not asked to play rec, directed to rec. I have the same concerns that David did. This is, it really is a detriment to the girls who have played before to have a girl who's never played soccer before on their challenge team.
Yeah, anyone that we feel does not belong in the challenge program will be told to go back into the Rec 2 program.
Hey, Darren, this is Mark. I had a quick question. Thanks for all the points, by the way. Is there some sort of aim in terms of roster size going forward? Or does it just usually strictly depend on how many people you get, and then you kind of divide it between, how many you get, and then trying to keep it even? I asked because one of the challenges we had is we have a roster size of 13, and with 7-on-7, it's just, you're trying to balance winning, but also trying to get everybody a little bit of time. And with that big of a roster, it's been difficult. So is there like a number that you would suggest? Is it like 11, or, on the 7-on-7 specifically, And is that something you'd encourage us to look at a number to keep as a roster, or is it really just strictly dependent on how many applications you get, and after you weed everything out, you know, how many coaches you get and all that? Is it really all dependent on that?
Yeah, so right now, the biggest factor is the number of coaches. If we get an extra coach in a division of 10, we don't need rosters of 13. But it also all boils back to we don't turn anyone away from the challenge program. We keep everybody in. We want as many kids to play as possible, but we will not be using rosters of 13 any longer. It's hard to manage. 12 is hard to manage. Trust me, I have 12 on my U10 travel team, and it's difficult. So yeah. I definitely understand. We will not be going. We will not exceed 12 moving forward with the revamp and how the program will look.
Okay, great.
So if you put 12 on your roster and 12 kids sign up, great. But if you put 9 on your roster, we'll probably get you to 10, 11. We don't want to leave a 12th kid out, you know.
Gotcha.
But we don't want to exceed 12.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you.
Hey, Darren, do you have a question?
Sorry, I missed who was talking there.
I'm sorry, this is City. I have potentially 14 kids, my challenge team. And I've had 3 to 4 players that I definitely believe they still probably should be doing rec. And they keep going because the parents just wants them to belong to a team, you know. But you see, I've tried, but you will see the significant difference. I mean, we'll play a game, put them in, play 2 quarters, and they will not touch a ball. They're not interested, but the parents just want them to be part of it. And in my case, we're looking at 13, 14 kids. And now you say to submit a roster. I don't have a problem to submit the roster, but they're going to come back and say, hey, I registered and I request you. Now, what's your answer you're going to tell them? You're going to tell them, the coach submit these names and your name is not there? Or where are you going to deflate the blame? Because they're going to come back to me. And they've been with me for quite a while. And I know, just like you said, we probably need to slim the roster down. And it's unfair for kids that are doing well, only able to play 1 quarter, just because I have to keep 2, 3 more players, you know, that really cannot kick a ball. They still probably belong in rec. And don't show up in practice, but we still have to keep up with the policy of play them twice in a game.
I would say City, stop being such a good coach, and then they'll stop requesting you. But we will. So here, this is just my thoughts, right? This isn't how it'll go. But first, we'll ask the coaches to submit your rosters. We'll get that information, gather that. We'll form the nucleus of the team from that. We will then look at the registration date of everybody else and then what the request of the family is. We will then go back to you and go, hey, this player has requested to be with you. We don't see that she's on your roster. What do you think? And you will then give us your honest opinion, kind of your evaluation on the player to see where they belong. If you think that they're a challenge player, we'll see if they can fit into your roster because they have requested to be with you. And if not, if you've got to 3rd and 4th grade teams are at 12 and we don't exceed that, we'll see where we can fit them in somewhere else. But we will take your roster, set it in place, do our cross checks so that you're not creating an all-star team, and then work our way kind of backwards from there for the players that aren't on anyone's list. And then, like I said, get your evaluation on the player to see what the best fit for the family is, and then we don't expect you to have a conversation with the family. We're happy to have that conversation with the family to go, hey, we don't, from everything that we know from our staff, from our volunteers that are on the field, we don't think that this is the best fit for your child right now.
Thank you.
Hey, Darren, sorry, just the tail end of that. I don't know, you do coach evaluations. I mean, is there a checkbox to say that maybe this player should be back in challenge? Or, I mean, a way to kind of trigger for you guys to go have that conversation, or should we be emailing you just to, I mean, because I've got a player or two that's probably in the same situation that City has.
Yeah, I would say we can get ahead of it for sure. But we also, there's obviously still a lot of kids in the challenge program. So for us, we think the most efficient way is to collect your rosters first, let everybody register, get your rosters first, or first let everybody register, then get the rosters, and then we can look at anyone that's not on the lists, on anyone's sheets that gets submitted, and then we can come back to you. It's very easy for a family to go, yes, I was in the challenge program before. We can go back and look at it, obviously, but our program managers think this is the most efficient way to do it in that order.
Thanks.
But again, if we think that if down the road in 6 months' time, going into the fall, we think there's a different way of doing it, we're open. We're not set in this. We just think right now this is the best way to do it with the platform and the software that we use.
Darren, I apologize. I was not able to get on until I think your presentation was over, so I might be repeating something, but I just wanted to double check on something. I'm out in Purcellville, and it seemed like our challenge team was a little bit piecemealed as far as we didn't have enough players to make a challenge team. So a lot of novice players were brought up. We're getting pummeled big time. So will what you all went over solve for that in the future, or are we going to face that challenge out in Western Loudoun continuously?
Yep. So here's another change that we are going to make. I forgot to mention this. We will place players or have players registered by region. So instead of being specific to Purcellville, Leesburg, South Riding, Ashburn, it will be central, east, south, and west. So now we can then go in and a player selected to be in the west, we can then we can go and cross-check where they're from, what school they go to, where their address is. And if we feel that they need to be on a Purcellville team, they've still selected to be in Challenge West in a specific grade, and we can then push players into the Purcellville area, because we know we have tons of volunteers in Purcellville, and we have some good players, but there's always a couple age groups where we struggle to get players, and then it's no fun for anybody. So we've decided to place it by region instead of a specific town of play for the challenge program. So hopefully that helps that issue.
Okay, thanks.
Hey Darren, are we going to be asked via email, or is we using software to submit our rosters for the coaches evaluations or the coaches request for the rosters? How's that going to go down?
Currently, it'll still be via email or maybe a Google Sheet or something like that, a Google form. But we are looking at various softwares that will hopefully streamline that process a little bit easier. But currently, with the current software that we use, everything is still Google Sheets, Google Forms, something like that. Yep.
Okay, and that'll be requested in the next week or so, since we're opening up registration pretty quickly here. Or?
We'll see how probably not in the next week. No, probably only in at the turn of the year. We'll get all that information. We'll let everybody register. We'll let everybody finish the season, and then we'll start to focus on spring 24. Once we get through Christmas and New Year, and we get the turn of the year. So just be patient, but we'll get everything done.
10-4. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Darren, I
Suzanne.
just,
Yep. Go ahead.
Go
Sorry.
ahead. Darren, I was just going to ask, you mentioned that the All-Star tryouts next year will include both kind of the coaches, the All-Star head coaches kind of looking at the field as well as still a tryout set of weekends. You'll have both?
Yeah. Yep. That's the
Okay.
plan. Yes.
Thank you.
Players will still have to be registered for the program though. So just we'll make that clear once we release the All-Star info when it's time.
Understood. Thanks.
Mike, do you have a question? Mike Clemens.
Sorry, Darren, I just need to put my hand down.
Okay. Yep. Jeff, you have anything?
Yeah, I have a question. So how is there going to be a goal to have balanced play? Like, as you look at top to bottom, the standings, there's clearly teams that are not competing. And, will there be a goal over time to try and get more balanced play? Or I just see that as being more difficult when coaches can control what the ratings are and that type of thing.
It's very hard to have to get balanced play in the rec program, especially for the number of players that we have. But coaches will submit rosters based on which kids they want, right? Whether it's friends of their child or they got a new kid in a certain season and they turned out to be pretty good and they want them back. So we're keeping scores for every age group. We're looking at those. We're looking at the rosters to make sure there's not a ton of turnover on the roster from fall to spring or from spring to fall. We're looking at all of it. We're tracking who makes the all-star teams, and where they sit on a roster, if they're being requested by a number of coaches or only one. We're tracking the travel kids that go back into the challenge program. We're tracking rec kids that go into the challenge program. We're tracking new kids that come in. There's a lot to do, but without us basically having a open draft, it's really hard for me to tell you, yep, I can guarantee you that everything will be even and everybody will be happy. But hopefully all of this allows us to get the kids that are struggling in the challenge program and get them back into the rec program, where they can excel a little bit and then maybe later on come back if the age group allows, which will then even out the rosters for the kids that deserve to be in the program for what everybody expects a challenge game and team to look like.
Hey, Darren.
So I know that's not a great answer for you. I know it's probably not the exact answer you're looking for there, Jeff, but it's tough for us to be able to do that without seeing everybody. And another reason why we got rid of the evaluations is some kids go they have a great fall season and they come back in February and they've done basketball and indoor flag football and they've forgotten about soccer for 4 months, and they turn out to be not so great in the middle of February when it's snowing outside and it's freezing cold and we're judging them on 30 minutes. So hopefully all of this, the combination of everything allows us to create a better program for everybody.
Hey, Darren, it's Karen. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in on that just real quick, because I think the Challenge One coaches might not be familiar with how the playoffs work, but it kind of helps. Let's say you're a bottom level team and you've been struggling, maybe haven't won a lot of games, but the way we do the playoffs is teams get seeded and broken out into divisions, So, for example, let's say there's 8 teams in your division. When you get to the playoff day, the top 4 are going to play, and then the bottom 4 are going to play each other. And so it makes for a competitive last day. And, the 2 teams in each of those divisions has the ability to win, a medal and a second place medal. So it kind of, that's how we do it. Like with the high school teams now, we have girls teams that are like 9th through 12th grade. And we might have a team of all 9th graders because they all want to play together. And they're playing against a team of like 11th and 12th graders. So when they play their game, they might lose 6-0. But when they get to the playoffs at the end, they're playing the other teams that are more at their level. So it kind of balances. Things out, because what Darren is saying is true. What's hard about informing the teams to make them even and competitive, the 12 people that are asking for you are the 12 people that are asking for you, and you might want them and they might want you, and they might be the best players in the world, but they also might just be friends that all want to play together, and they're okay if they win some and they lose some. So just my 2 cents.
Yep. Again, we'll keep tracking the scores throughout the season, the playoffs, where the teams get seeded, and how that all falls. So there's a lot to go into it, but hopefully everything will allow us to create a more even and enjoyable environment for everybody.
Yeah, I guess I'll echo what Karen said. My older son plays Classic, and when they've been tiered into they've had a really bad season, and then they get tiered into the lower division, but then they win it. Like their whole season's been made. So I do appreciate that tiering system that you guys have done for the playoffs.
Yep.
Hey,
Darren,
it's Marcus. A quick question. You talked about roster sizes for the 7v7. What's the target roster size for 9v9 for the 5th grade and 6th grade?
Yeah, again, it'll depend on the submissions, but we'll look at 14 to 15 players. Again, unless there's 16 on the roster that you submit. If there's 1 or 2 kids that we need to get in, we don't want to leave those kids out. But we're always looking at 14 for those 99 teams.
Because I've got 16, and I get loaded up to 16 outside of any roster submissions. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yep, just the number of coaches that we got in, and compared to the number of players. The challenge program keeps the numbers keep increasing, and players want to keep joining the challenge program. I don't remember us. Well, I know we've never had a challenge program as large as we have right now. We've exceeded spring numbers, which never happens. Our spring numbers are always larger than fall numbers, but we're exceeding that, and I think that's I'm going to put it back on all of you. That's down to all the coaches and the volunteers that come in and make the program and the environment enjoyable for everybody. So it's what we hope and wish for sometimes doesn't happen because of the numbers, but we're shooting for 14 for those 99 teams. We want kids to play, right? We don't want anyone sitting. We don't want kids sitting out. We want kids on the field as much as possible.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hey, Darren. You guys are always really great about putting together like draft emails for us to send to the team. Are you guys going to be drafting anything for us to disseminate, outlining the changes?
Yep, we'll have something specific to go out to. Are you talking about now or later on?
I'm talking about now, since registration is going to be opening and when they see that sticker shock, like I'm going to let my team know like kind of what's going on. I just want to make sure that I don't get anything wrong from what you've just covered.
Yep, we'll have this recording will get put up onto the website, so that'll be accessible to everybody. We'll send it out to the head coaches as well once it gets uploaded. We'll also have the kind of the notes that we've gone through and highlighting all the changes that'll get put up on the website as well. So it'll be open to everybody once everything gets opened up on Wednesday.
Perfect. Thank you.
Daniel?
Yes, I have a quick question. So I have fifth grade challenge team with total of 16 soccer players. And has there been talk from your side where for practice we can get, or at least challenge will get the whole field to practice as opposed to half a field? Having 16 kids and teaching them space and other techniques that should be taught at the challenge level with that many kids, it makes it really hard for just to use half a field. I'm not sure if that's something that has been in talks.
No, that won't happen. Everybody will only get half a field maximum, unless you get lucky. I will tell you, our travel teams, our 11v11 teams, they only get a quarter of a training space. And I know you'll come back at me and go, well, that's a travel coach and they're more experienced. It's still the number of players, and they've got 20 on a roster. So don't overthink the training session. You don't need more space than you're given, I promise. All right. Anyone else?
Sorry, one more for me, Darren. I know you want to close out, but I know with the older kids, like when the rain comes in, there's been some pretty heroic efforts, I'd say, to put them on turf fields. With kind of the extra cost, any chance that maybe we could get a few more games in and not have to always be rescheduling and packing in our final weekends?
Yep. So I will say there are. You should come in and sit in a staff meeting with us and talk about turf fields. There are not enough turf fields in Loudoun County. It baffles us that they built a facility with 20 fields and there's only 2 turf fields. So we only have access to 4 turf fields that give us the ability to fit small-sided games. And 2 of those are at Loudoun Soccer Park. And when our elite teams, our ECNL teams play, that's our home venue. So essentially, we only have two venues, 2 fields. I would love to say, yes, we will put you on turf and put everyone on turf. It's just it's not possible for what the county has built. So we give the next best option, and that's Hanson and other fields that we know are suitable. So once the county builds us more turf fields and allocates us more turf fields each season through the field allocation, I promise you we will get some goals out there and make sure that that we get our challenge players and all of the rec teams that we can onto those fields. It's just the demand, the need doesn't fit the demand right now, or the other way around. So yeah, we're doing our best, I promise, but it's really not possible right now.
Okay, thanks. That helps me understand.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. I appreciate everybody's time. We'll get this uploaded and get it out to everybody tomorrow. And then yeah, registration opens on Wednesday. So we'll have all the pages updated and ready to go for everybody. And yeah, hopefully if anything else comes up, please feel free to send me an email and I'll take a look and answer it as best I can. Otherwise, hopefully everybody sees the hopefully you see the improvements that we're trying to make and make sure the challenge program is as efficient and run as efficiently as you all expect it to be. So appreciate your time. Good luck for the rest of the season. Hopefully we're good to go for the rest of the year. And I will see everybody on the field, hopefully at least once more before the end of the year. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your evening.
Bye.
Thank you.